way, we think we're going to be here from 1 to 4 p.m. today, but if you have been out and about in the city of Chicago or in Chicagoland, you know that the weather has been frightful today, and this is just round one. And so we are anticipating the possibility of more severe storms in the evening, especially if there should be a time during our show when you see the sun. That does not bode well for us, okay? Just being very honest. But either way, we're going to see much more rain. If things really kick up and we get, say, a tornado warning in the 3 o'clock hour, we will come right in with a weather forecast, and that will take us through the time period that warning is around. Want to make sure that safety is top priority here. So again, we're anticipating that could possibly happen in the 3 o'clock hour, but we'll see how long we can chat away here in our time. I'm your host, Anita Blanton, and I'll be with you as long as we can go today. So in this hour, we're going to have a conversation with the one and only, much beloved. I always introduce him that way because he is Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb. He has some new titles to his name as well today. And so we're going to talk to him about being on the President's Council now for unidentified anomalous objects or beings, okay? We're going to talk to him in this age of disclosure. Did anyone see the movie over the Disclosure Day? I went to go see it. Very interesting. We'll talk to him about that. Avi Loeb coming up around 1:45. Also, got to talk about the algae in the reflecting pool there in Washington, D.C. There's been a lot of conversation about that, like what happened here? The reflecting pool, the changes to it, so new. How did we already get to this point where there are some problems showing up in the form of algae? And then what is it going to take to get that out of there and to beautify the area again? We'll have that conversation around 1:30. And speaking of water, we're also going to talk about lakefront renovations that are anticipated along our lakefront. And this is from the Chicago Park District. They have some shoreline conditions assessments that are going on right now after record high lake levels and severe storm damage from 2020. They have now historic, widespread efforts that are happening to kind of get things back on track. And again, that dates back to 2020. You know, we've been dealing with storms over the last 2 weeks now, and we've got to ask them about how those are affecting what they're doing in terms of lakefront repair, maintenance, and trying to get to a level of increased resiliency in time. We want our waterways to be beautiful as well here in our area. We're going to start off with a move from Governor Pritzker that has some folks wondering what it's going to mean for their pocketbooks. Now, of course, Governor Pritzker has touted doing a lot of things in terms of the budget that would help people's pockets. But in signing this 0.2% crypto tax, the cryptocurrency industry is warning of an exodus. There's always multiple sides to a story. So Howard Greenberg, the president and co-founder of the American Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association, is here with me now. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Anita. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you as well. What are your thoughts here on Governor Pritzker signing this Senate Bill 3019?
It is a little bit crazy, to be honest with you, for a bunch of different reasons. Number one of which is it's not a very simple bill. It says 0.2, but it's 0.2% every time you do something, basically. So if I buy crypto, I pay 0.2%. If I move that to my self-custodial wallet, my own wallet, I pay 0.2%. If I then go to use that in some sort of lending situation, I get hit for another 0.2%. So it's like walking up to an ATM withdrawing cash, and every time I move it from one pocket to another, I pay another tax on it. So it's really crazy. It doesn't look like they really understood blockchain technology when they put it together. And they're really at a lot of threat of losing, you lost Citadel, right? And now you're a threat to losing some other huge companies.
What would those companies be? I mean, this is all relatively new for a lot of people. As you said, they may not even understand some of the ramifications.
Yeah, Jump Capital, DRW, and Cumberland are all based, right around the SIBO for a reason, but they're all huge market makers in the crypto space. And these firms trade on razor thin margins. And the moment Illinois starts tracking IP addresses to slap on a transaction tax, they'll move. They already have started moving, a lot of them. And states like Florida, Texas, or where I live in Ohio, is courting these companies. So it's really at risk of not bringing money in, but actually causing an exodus of some of the financial services.
It's interesting that you mentioned, many of these companies going to other states, because I'm also seeing here, that there is an element to this for even out-of-state brokers who will become subject to the rule once they have an Illinois sale.
Yeah, what you'll see is what happened in New York. New York for a while, and still has it, but they've sort of changed how it works. Their financial service committee you had to get approved there. So companies like Coinbase and others just chose not to do business in the state. They'll geo-block it out, and they'll say to Illinois residents, you no longer have access to our services. And that's really going to hit people that need it. A lot of folks, I come from the restaurant industry at one time, and I work a lot with folks that use remittances, send money back to Central America to their families, and they use stable coins and crypto to do it to save money. And now you're hitting those people the hardest.
I wonder though, again, because crypto is fairly new to a lot of people, if there is a sense that it's been operating without guardrails.
That could be definitely the case, but this isn't a guardrail. This is a tax, that is meant to be sort of like a penalty tax, the same way we have it on gambling or on cannabis in the state, right? But crypto is not that. In fact, even the IMF just came out with positive statements about how stable coins are helping in Nigeria. So limiting access to that at this time makes no sense. We just passed a bill in Illinois that's very pro-digital asset. This goes against all of it. So it doesn't make sense. And the legality of it, the bottom line, it discriminates against digital assets. If you buy a share of Apple stock, a gold ETF, if you buy a crypto ETF that trades on the CBOE, you don't pay because it's cash settled derivative. But if you own the underlying asset, you're going to get taxed.
Mm-hmm. The measure is projected to generate, and this was a historic budget anyhow, right, for the state of Illinois that was just passed. But this measure is projected to generate more than $800 million in additional tax revenue.
The entire thing, for the crypto side, they're saying 60 million, which is a drop in the hat. And again, they're taxing and multiple taxing, and they're assuming people are going to continue to do the business that they do. And what we've seen in the world of crypto and blockchain technology is that's not the case. When people left the country when the last administration was very negative on crypto and set up operations to stop the ability to bank. So they moved to other countries. They just came back. They'll leave Illinois very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Do people get hurt though in crypto, because the law also adds registration and reporting duties for brokers, violations that can even be a class 3 felony. So are they working to try to protect some people, and what would they be protecting?
No, because none
from?
of it goes to that. It's the only reporting they added is reporting of what you do with your crypto so that you get taxed on it. There is no other registration requirements. There's nothing, no added benefits that this provides that it is there. In fact, the digital asset bill that was passed just a few months ago did all of that and set clear rules and guidelines for who needs to register, how you need to register. This is just an extra tax, that burden that would be, put on the people of Illinois and the companies that operate there. Is
it kind of ironic to you that Chicago hosts a major crypto and trading firms as we're having these conversations that you say could be driving them out?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same question I'd ask about Citadel, right? They drove Ken Griffin right out. He took his company, he left, he's never coming back. And, we shake our heads now and say, well, we should have listened probably, right? This is what you're going to see is that these firms, they'll move the business. It's very easy to move. Blockchain doesn't have an address. The only thing that has the address is the corporate entities. So they'll move those offices. It's probably cheaper for them to go to Florida or Texas.
So I'm seeing that legal challenges are very likely here. Have you already heard rumblings of that?
Oh, yeah. The organizations in D.C. like ABCA that I represent are already starting to put that into place because, again, there is no other asset in the United States, in any state in the United States, or any jurisdiction that is treated in this way. It's basically being a penalty for something that is not only regulated in the United States, but has, paths and shown that it has a reason for being there when it comes to stable coins and the quickness and the ability to move, money throughout the world in a matter of seconds.
And I wonder what advice you would give people in the crypto market given this change here in the state of Illinois.
To be honest with you, for companies, and we've already had some of these conversations because this wasn't a secret that it was happening in the last 2 weeks. It sort of came to a head. There are companies already looking as what are my solutions? Where do I go next? And, not just my organization, but the Blockchain Association. You have AZ16, which is Anderson Horowitz's VC capital area. They're talking about leaving already.
Well, this is going to be interesting, and especially with if there are some legal challenges here, if that prevents it from going into effect, if it pauses it, pushes it back, what the next steps are will be interesting to watch. Thank you so much for your time. As
You're
always,
welcome.
we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. So again, that's a part of the $55.9 billion fiscal 2027 budget that the governor just signed into law this week. That's Senate Bill 3019 that affects a lot of folks in the cryptocurrency industry. So let's get in a 2-minute break here before we move on with our conversations. It is pouring outside right now, so we're going to try to move through as many conversations as possible here. Let's take 2 minutes. All right, everyone, it's just about 1:15. Again, our eyes are definitely on the skies this afternoon. We already have some watches that are going up as our meteorologists are kind of sending us notes about what to prepare for here. Things do not look well for this afternoon into the evening hours. So we definitely want everyone to not just be weather alert, but to be weather ready, should things really devolve outside. One of the last things that we got from meteorologist Mike Kaplan this morning is that they were going to be keeping a close eye on some of the trends. The potential exists for part of our area to have tornadoes. And he says that they're really going to be distinct in terms of what we see here in the northwestern Illinois, Chicago up, and what could possibly happen in central Illinois. If you're going to be on the road today, you need to know that the afternoon really, in his note, targets central Illinois. We'll be talking more about it. And again, if there is a tornado warning, we will preempt the show and we will get right to our meteorologist for a full forecast and to take you into the evening hours. But let's talk about lakefront renovations now and the storms that caused the work that's still happening now today. We have Michael Lang from the planning for the Chicago Park District. He is the deputy director joining me now. Thank you so much for your time. Michael, can you hear me okay? Okay, I cannot hear you. Let's see if we can get that fixed. Okay, can you try to speak to me now? I think I can hear you.
Is it working now?
Yes, all right, it's working now. Just like the commercials. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We got you. All right, so tell us about the shoreline conditions assessment. Like, what is the shoreline looking like? I know the work has been, kind of dates back to 2020, so how have things progressed?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So the Park District, we own and manage and maintain over 26 miles of the Michigan shoreline in Chicago. We work with the Chicago Department of Transportation, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, and many others to plan, maintain, and improve the shoreline. The lakefront conditions assessment report actually emerged because of the record high lake levels that we got in 2019 and 2020. Because of the damages that we saw along the lake, we saw the need to do a lakefront-wide study on the physical conditions and the typologies that we have in terms of coastal protection infrastructure that exists along the lakefront. That ranges anywhere between the revetments to the beachfronts to sort of what is called armor stone and breakwaters.
You know, I think a lot of people would say, wait, coastal resilience, how does that affect our bodies of water here?
Yeah, so actually, fun fact that a lot of people don't realize is Lake Michigan is actually connected to Lake Huron, and so as those waters fluctuate, so does ours here in Lake Michigan. And because of the Midwest and the Great Lakes are the largest freshwater bodies here in the United States, there's a lot of need to think about the ecological habitat and how we preserve the lakefront and make sure that this critical infrastructure continues to support all of us.
Mm-hmm. And, a lot of this has to do with storms from that time period back then. And obviously we are dealing with a bout of bad weather today, but there is the thought that today could be kind of reminiscent of last Thursday when things really got bad. So even with the severe weather that has rolled through recently, though, what does that do to the progress that you all have made?
Yeah, so I think it's important to note that lake levels continue to fluctuate year after year, and this has actually been monitored even as early as like 1918. And so what we're continuing to sort of see is we're seeing more intense storms in shorter time periods. Mm-hmm. And so, we are often going out and trying to be proactive and think of ways that, we can not only fix what gets damaged during construction or during these storms, but also, build things that become more resistant and resilient to make sure that we don't get large systematic damage during these sort of extreme weather events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what does assessment, what do the crews do to get the data now versus years ago? Like how has technology taken you all to a new level and even trying to get this data?
Yeah, so current like in today's world now, we rely on information that comes from FEMA as well as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. There's lots of different ways that that data is collected. There's topographic data that gets collected that is mapped on a sort of a national level, and there's a lot of studies that that are conducted that measure wave action and sort of the height of waves and as it relates to the lake water levels.
Hmm. And tell me how that plays into like the health of the the animals, the beings that call our freshwater home.
Yeah, absolutely. So we think about not just sort of the physical condition of the built environment, and I think it's important to sort of highlight the fact that most of the lakefront region, the 26 miles in the city of Chicago, is actually man-made. It was made by fill, but over time we've seen a lot more nature begin to return,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we think about not just sort of the physical conditions, but the coastal vulnerability and how can we do things like protect habitat and make sure that continues to be an ecosystem that everybody can live in.
Yeah, I mean, we were all giddy yesterday about hearing about the piping plovers having a hatch, a new one that's just hatched, a baby that's hatched, and you think about the fact that that is an area, a protected area that's roped off along a beach. So in protecting habitats, protecting the beach, the shoreline, would then be protecting a lot of habitats as well.
That's absolutely correct. And we are currently, as part of one of the actions that actually comes from this conditions assessment study, we are actually working on doing improvements along the lakefront down in Calumet after some storm damage, which also includes some more nature-based solutions to actually provide additional habitat for birds and other natural beings.
Oh, that's wonderful. When you look at like best practices, things that you all have learned in this time, I mean, again, if we're going back to 2019, 2020, it's a lot of time for learning, a lot of time for progress for sure, but a lot of time for learning. What are some of those best practices that you feel will take you all forward?
Yeah, so I think one of the benefits of the report is that it really sort of outlines kind of a lot of the typologies that we have that are existing in the system, whether that's a breakwater, some of these things called a jetty or a groin or a seawall and the revetments, right? But we've also taken this opportunity to sort of explore how can we incorporate some of these maybe more man-made built infrastructure in a natural way that can, create a better habitat, specifically when we look at places like Montrose or down at Calumet.
What would you say is the next big project for you all?
Yeah, we've got a few next big projects. So one of the other sort of next steps from a planning sort of standpoint is we are currently working on a resilience study that includes sort of vignettes of like nature-based coastal solutions on specific segments along the lakefront. We've got some major capital improvements that still need to be completed. That comes from the U.S. Army Corps GRR plan from 1993. So there's a few segments that are left. Morgan Shoal happens to be one of those that we're in the process of cooperatively working on design for.
And we talked so much. Our conversation right before we pulled you into the chat was about the state budget. What kind of funding challenges are you all working with to get these projects complete?
Yeah, as anybody can expect, these projects don't happen alone by one funding source. So this is why at the sort of at the onset we talk about the cooperation that happens between the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, that gives us the ability to tie into federal dollars. That we work with the Chicago Department of Transportation and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. That gives you that collection of state and local money. Without all of those partners working together towards this effort, no project would be able to happen around here. We're always sort of looking and seeking out additional ways to sort of improve and enhance the lakefront.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing the projects come to life and seeing more life as a result for our nature habitats and the beaches. Seeing what happens from here.
Great, thank you for having me.
Take care. All right, everyone, before we go to break, I want to read a piece of our meteorologist Caitlin Cody's latest update that just came out in less than an hour ago. She says that we have rain, and maybe let's just take a look at several of the live pictures out here as we're watching things today. Rain showers, light to moderate rates for early this afternoon, but she says there has been a wake low in our northwest counties, which is bringing 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts to some. I mean, I have seen people out here struggling with umbrellas. We have a wind advisory in Cook, DuPage, Kane, DeKalb, Lake, and McHenry counties. And then there is a tornado watch for LaSalle and McHenry counties until 3 p.m. All right. I mean, look at this. We're in the summertime, and you only see one person out at the bean, and that is because this weather is just atrocious today. She says that the best chance for tornadoes is around I-80, point south through the afternoon, although all of Chicagoland should be on alert. She says we also have the chance for damaging wind and hail as well as flooding. The threat for storms will end around 8 to 9 p.m. So we've got a ways to go before we get some clearing going on. She says with the heavy rain potential, we all have a flood watch until 8 p.m. So again, we are watching things very closely here. She says the Storm Prediction Center has shifted the highest risk level, that was like the 4 to 5 level, to south of us, to include southern Kankakee and Jasper Newton counties, with an enhanced risk for most of Will and Grundy, southern LaSalle, and northwest Indiana counties, with a slight risk still in place for Chicago, points west and south. So we're going to talk a lot about the weather today. We want everyone to be cautious, aware, and ready should things really go down in these evening hours. All right, let's take a 2-minute break, and we'll try to get in another conversation here in this time frame that we have before we get any warnings on the radar, and that should be about algae and the reflecting pool out in Washington, D.C. right, welcome back, everyone. 1:30 right now. Let's talk about the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C. There's been a lot of conversation about what's going on there, and that is before water was even put back in there. You know, for a while it didn't have any water in it. So, you know, President Trump said that he wanted to change the reflecting pool to beautify Washington, D.C., and then the algae came. And now we've got a lot of questions as to, okay, how does this play out moving forward, this newly renovated Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool that has algae in it? What gets the algae out? All of those things. So we have Keith Gray, who is a corporate integration consultant at Kroll, who is joining us now. Thank you so much for being here. Keith, I can't hear you. Maybe
How's that?
All right, I can hear you now. We have some gremlins in the system today, but let's talk. Oh, look, I'm talking about gremlins in the system. We're going to talk about gremlins in the reflecting pool, algae, more specifically in the reflecting pool. This renovation took millions of dollars. Is it a surprise to you that there's algae in there?
There's no surprise at all. It's an artificial water body, and it's void of the balance that we see in a lot of lakes and ponds, where you have critters or organisms eating algae in a lake or pond. That's just not the case in a reflecting pool. This is basically a giant swimming pool, right? It's artificial, so it's like an incubator for algae, really.
So what should have been done from the outset to prevent this happening so fast?
Right. Well, I'm not going to second guess a lot of experts. I'll give you my opinion for what it's worth. But, algae needs three things. It needs sunlight, water, and nutrients, right? Sunlight is a given. It's going to be there. Water is what it is. It's a water body. So the limiting factor really, if someone wanted to control algae, would be the nutrients, right? Which is phosphorus and nitrogen. So let's look at that real quick. Phosphorus and nitrogen. Nitrogen is the majority of our atmosphere, so there's not a whole lot you could do about that. It really comes down to phosphorus. If you can eliminate phosphorus from the system, you would have a pretty good chance of controlling the algae. And I think that's what ultimately they're going to wind up doing.
Okay, we've been seeing these images of officials just dumping like solutions into the water. Is that going to help?
Yeah. So it's a reaction, right? It's not a proactive approach. It's a reaction. So I said phosphorus is in the water. You have sunlight. You're going to have algae. Peroxide is what I believe is what most recently is being used. Peroxide will oxidize the algae. It'll kill the algae. It'll bleach it so that you can't see it. And you can kind of stay ahead of the problem by adding peroxide continually, but it's again reactive. You're not doing anything to take the nutrient source away from the system. So if that's the question, will that work? It's a short-term fix.
Short-term fix.
It's a short-term fix.
And so if you're going to have to do it over and over and over again, that would add up very quickly. And again, we're talking about multi-million dollars in terms of the effort that it took to even get us here to beautify the reflecting pool. And so what would be the long-term fix? What do you think they need to do next?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would be really curious to see what they filled the reflecting pool up with. If they pulled water from the river, maybe filtered it. If they took city water, purified water that we're drinking, and put it in there, and what the phosphorus levels might have been on the water they used to fill the pool. It's going to be there. I think what's going to happen is, look at water parks have beautiful water, right? You don't see algae growing in water parks. Swimming pools, of course, have beautifully clear water without algae in it. The difference is they're using chlorine a lot of times, and you have moving water. Algae doesn't like to live in a lot of moving water when there's a lot of energy in the water. This is a reflecting pool, right? By design, it's supposed to be sitting still so you can get reflections off of it. So this is a very, very difficult problem to solve. But again, I think it's nutrient removal is where this is going to go, and staying on top of it.
Very interesting. And does so much was made of the change of the color of the pool. Does that have anything to do with what we're seeing and the problems that it's encountering?
You know, it can, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the original color was black. Is that right?
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
it's a blue.
Blue, right. So
Before the algae, that is.
any biological system will happen faster when it's warm, right? In the cold, you have plants grow slow if they grow at all. Biology happens faster when it's warm. So the fact that the bottom of this very shallow reflecting pool is dark means it's going to warm up quickly. And as I mentioned earlier, it's an incubator for algae. You have still water, nutrient rich, that's getting warm in a relatively warm climate, Northern Virginia. Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to, hate to say it, if you really wanted to make something that was more self-sustaining, it would be much, much deeper and probably a lighter colored bottom. But that doesn't reflect well, so that takes away from the purpose, I guess.
Aha. Okay. Wow. Well, we've got a ways to go before it's cold outside again, at least we think. So, yeah, lots of questions about how they're going to fix the fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's some criticism about the peroxide. I read something this morning that it's a hazardous material, and peroxide in its concentrated form, it oxidizes, right? If you've used peroxide on your skin, can oxidize your skin, turn it white. But what happens is when you add it to water, peroxide is chemically H2O2, 2 hydrogens, 2 oxygens. Water is H2O, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. So it's incredibly close to water. And when you add peroxide to water, which is what's happening in the reflecting pool, one of those oxygens is released, it kills the algae, and the other, what's left is H2O, which is water. So, lots being made of this hazardous material being added to the water, but that's just unfounded because it very, very quickly turns to water.
Ah, okay. Thank you for taking us through our chemistry lesson for the day.
Right.
I was trying to follow you there. Like,
no one wants to remember that stuff, right?
That's why we have to call on the experts here. We haven't done chemistry in a very long time. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I mean, are you surprised by all of this?
I'm not. And I actually was surprised to learn that they've been struggling with maintaining this for nearly 100 years, maybe over 100 years, I think 1920s. So no, not at all. In really phosphorus, sunlight and water are just part of nature, and it's going to collect and it's going to grow algae. So it's going to be a challenge for somebody, that's for sure.
That is for sure. It is appearing to be at the very least. Thank you so much for your time. Keith Gray from Integrated Lakes Management. We appreciate it.
All right. Happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right, everyone, it's about 1:40 here, and we've got a couple of different live events that are happening. I believe the Fed Reserve meeting is taking place. This is the first one that's being led by Kevin Warsh, the new Fed chair. Let's listen into a bit of it.
Two pieces. First, on the inflation framework review, their remit is what are the drivers of inflation? What's the Fed's responsibility for inflation? In part, how do we measure inflation? But that'll overlap with my data group. On the 2% inflation objective, that is the Federal Reserve's long-held objective of 2%. You've heard me say before, I tend to focus on the left of the decimal point. Well, the 2 is the left of the decimal point. For now, 0 is to the right. I see no reason until we have reestablished our commitment and ability to deliver on the 2% inflation objective to revisit that. So that'll be outside the scope of what we're taking on.
Colby. Thank you so much. Colby Smith with the New York Times. You've in the past said that inflation is a choice, and in the policy statement, it includes this pledge to deliver price stability, as you've reiterated today. But looking at the SEP, the bulk of your colleagues expect core PCE to run around 3.3% by year end, and for the 2% inflation target not to be reached until 2028. So I'm curious how patient you think the Fed can afford to be at this juncture in terms of waiting for one-time inflation waves to wash through and for underlying inflation to step down after so many years of inflation running above target, and under what circumstances you would support the Fed taking some action and raising rates.
Sure. So quite a bit there. Let me try to break that into pieces. First, we have the capability and commitment to deliver on our price stability objective of 2%. That's exactly what we're going to do. In the Fed's review of its strategy over the last any number of years, in January, the Fed, including the strategy that we're still bound by, the Fed statement says that inflation is primarily determined by monetary policy. You bet it is. I've said for years inflation is a choice. You bet it is. And today I'm announcing that this committee unambiguously and unanimously have decided we are going to deliver on that. The rest of your questions sounded like an encouragement for me to give forward guidance. We've dropped forward guidance. Some along the committee, I think, dropped it, I suspect, from our discussion the last couple of days, because they said at this moment in time, it doesn't feel as though providing forward guidance is right. Others have, I'd say, different views and think as a general proposition, forward guidance isn't the business we should be in. But that'll be taken up by the Task Force on Communications and my policymaker colleagues. We're going to listen hard to what the experts say and make our own decision. But I can't give any forward guidance about what we're going to do next. The good news is we'll be meeting in 6 weeks.
So just following up, I guess, on the current policy settings, then I am curious how restrictive you think things are at the current moment, given the flow of data that we've seen and forecasts that are coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I've heard characterizations both inside and the Fed about that. I'll give you my own. It's uneven. If I look at the housing markets as one example, Fed policy isn't the single determinant of the state of the housing market, but broadly I would say Fed policy appears to be somewhat restrictive. I would have a hard time managing to say those words if I were to see what's happening in financial markets. So I'd say it's uneven. That's perhaps a function of different transmission mechanisms of monetary policy, whether monetary policy is coming from our interest rate tool or our balance sheet tool. But the good news, we have a task force on that too, and the balance sheet task force will be looking more at that subject.
You said you don't like forward guidance. You dropped it from the statement this time. But with the dot plot, 9 members suggested that they want a rate increase by the end of the year, and the markets have taken that as forward guidance. So what does this mean in terms of how you guide the markets and in terms of what the dot plot's future is?
I'm going to have to give you the same answer I gave to Ms. Smith. We've got a task force for that. I'll give you a little bit more. I reviewed the dot plots, and when I saw the submissions, I noted that all the submissions were coming in with pencils, those kind with the big erasers. That's to say that I think my colleagues around the table, when they submitted their dots, understand the world is changing quite quickly. And they didn't feel bound by them 6 weeks from now or 6 days from now in the event that their circumstances change. I'll note a couple other things. What I heard around the table was, as they submitted their modal forecasts, to be clear, this was more likely than not. This was more likely than their other scenarios. So I didn't hear tons of conviction. What I heard was the kind of humility that I think we should have. I did not submit a dot. For me, it's not helpful in the conduct of policy. I suspect by year end, as I mentioned in my opening statements, there'll be a review about communications broadly, press conferences, dots, meetings and the like, transcripts, minutes. This will be part of that. I don't want to prejudge the outcomes there, but I'm pretty open-minded about what they could be. And I was just incredibly impressed over the last couple of days. My colleagues over the last 2 days, and frankly over the first 3 weeks I've been here, they've been very open about changes. Change isn't easy, change is filled with risk, but our number one goal is to get monetary policy right. The way to get monetary policy right is to deliver on the remit that Congress gave us, to deliver on price stability. And there was no disagreement on any of those points.
At the risk of possibly getting the same answer about task forces, communications, what is your feeling about these news conferences? Are you going to continue one after every meeting? Do you find them useful? What is the future for the way Kevin Warsh will communicate?
Well, this one's probably got another 15 or 20 minutes in it, so I don't want to prejudge the outcome. Press conferences can be a very useful way to communicate with households, businesses, and more broadly through using the likes of you. I had a great old mentor named George Schultz, and his mantra was press conferences are useful, but when you have one, you want to make sure you have something important to say. Today, I think we had something important to say about our commitment to deliver on price stability, our commitment to rethink practices with an eye of moving the Fed forward, and to give you and the American people a sense that these aren't idle thoughts, these are concrete thoughts, that we're going to seek out the best minds, both of the best.
All right, you know the old song, getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Today, the first Fed open meeting and press conference for the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh. And so we're finding out a little bit more about his mentality going into this new role. And he's making some striking differences. So the reporters are kind of pressing him on the changes that he is likely to make here. He said that the world is changing quickly. And so he doesn't really believe in giving a lot of forward guidance. And what I mean by that is like talking about what's happening right now, where the market is right now, where the interest rate is right now, and then talking about what they expect to do throughout the rest of the year. He says there is a commitment to price stability, but he has signaled this desire to overhaul the central bank's communication strategy, as you were hearing there. He argues that officials may provide too much forward guidance and place excessive emphasis on mapping out the future path of monetary policy instead of focusing on the right now. And so there is some, as you would always imagine, in having these, the many people who are sitting on this board all together. When they come together, about 9 of the 18 are kind of signaling one thing when you're hearing something else. 9 of the 18 have projected that the federal funds rate is going to end 2026 above its current range of 3.5 to 3.75, likely around 3.8, which is above the 3.4% that was predicted in the Fed's March summary. But we will see where we go from here. But he is saying he is going to have continue to have press conferences, but making sure they have something to say in those press conferences going forward. So again, this is the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh. Let's take 2 minutes before we bring in the one and only Avi Loeb. Okay, welcome back, everyone. 1:50 right now, and no time like the present to bring in the one and only Avi Loeb, one of our favorites here on the show, and he has some new titles to his name today. Avi, I hear you're on the President's UAP Council.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Indeed, well, it's a privilege. I wouldn't call it a title. It's leading a new science council that advises government agencies about unidentified anomalous phenomena. There were three important events over the past week. First of all, Steven Spielberg released his film Disclosure Day
I
on
went to go see
June
it.
12th. Yes, and actually on the same day there was a real disclosure by the U.S. government, and I was analyzing the reports in that disclosure a few hours before I attended the movie theater and watched Spielberg's imagination on the big screen. But the third thing that happened was I was asked by a representative of the director of National Intelligence Office, the White House, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in the Pentagon, and the intelligence agencies more broadly, and the FBI to lead and establish a council that would provide scientific advice to all these agencies regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, or as they are called, UAPs. And what was striking about the latest document release was a letter from the director of Aero in the Pentagon, John Kozlowski, who basically reported about an event that lasted 2 days in October 2023, where law enforcement officials noticed unusual objects in the sky, and that included orbs that give birth to smaller orbs, something that we are not familiar with in terms of, for example, drones or flares or balloons doing that, and other phenomena. And he said in the report that 40% of the phenomena that were noticed and reported about, and this is by very believable people, people that are highly reputable, 40% of those phenomena cannot be explained in terms of technologies that the US possesses or that adversarial nations are using. And so that raises the question of what are these objects? And by the way, this letter is extremely unusual, because how often do you see a government employee admitting in an official letter that is publicly released that they are not doing their job? I mean, their job is to figure out what these objects are, because the most down-to-earth explanation is that if they are not made by the US, then they are perhaps gadgets employed by adversarial nations to conduct surveillance of strategic assets that the US has. And therefore, it's a matter of national security. But here there is a report released to the public saying we don't know what 40% of those details are in the event that took place in October 2023, relatively recently. And the second thing that happened is, of course, they asked me to get this council together. So the government is collaborating with scientists. That is very different than the script of Spielberg's movie, where a car is being crashed against a moving train. You know, and I instead of anyone threatening me, the government is actually asking for my advice. So reality is far more inspiring, I would say, than script writers in Hollywood.
Yeah, Spielberg had him, but trying to take you out so that the information didn't get out. So this is really interesting that they're pulling you in to pick your brain as we do on a regular basis. They could have just asked us. We would have told them that to get you on board a long time ago. But what will be the responsibilities of this council?
Right. So the council would look at unclassified data, and that's a great benefit because it means that we can advocate for the release of additional data. We can guide the Pentagon in terms of what new sensors it might use or what new algorithms of artificial intelligence it may employ in order to figure out the nature of these objects that are not identified. And in this way, we can operate like a scientific council. Since nothing is classified, we can discuss it openly and make the best out of the data that we are given. And at the end of the day, if we end up concluding that all the objects are human-made, I would feel that I did a very important job because I helped the Pentagon fulfill its mission of protecting strategic assets within the U.S. That's what, as an American citizen, what I'm honored to do. But in the event where 1 in a million objects or more happens to be an extraterrestrial technological artifact, that would be the biggest discovery ever made in science, and it will change the future of humanity, much more so than the use of artificial intelligence that we keep talking about. The discovery of alien intelligence is far more transformative because all the data centers that we develop for artificial intelligence, we invest $700 billion this year alone. The US is doing that in data centers. That is just data that is produced here on this earth. But imagine finding intelligence from another place and away from Earth. If we interact with such alien intelligence, we are likely to learn much more, and it will transform the future of humanity in a very fundamental way.
Avi, listen. Maybe because I just watched that movie, there was a glitch in the Wi-Fi as you were speaking about the aliens, and I was like, they got him. They got him.
I'm not worried at all. In fact, I see it as a dating experience where I'm hoping for someone more intelligent than I am. So it's a learning experience for me, and I really am looking forward to that if we find anything. But even if it ends up being just human-made, I would feel that I did my civil duty, and and I assembled a team that is exceptional, of brilliant people. Wow. We have 15 of them on the council right now, and I think it will be very exciting in the coming days, weeks, and months. And hopefully we will be able to inform the public of what we find, and that would settle the issue. It's like a detective story that you can resolve by getting more clues.
Well, I can't wait for the updates that come along the way. For a council that's led by you, with some other folks that that you have vouched for, I know that you all are going to have some interesting things to discuss along the way.
So I look forward to speaking about them with you in the coming months. And stay tuned, because reality is more exciting than movies, even if the movies are made by Steven Spielberg. And I'm talking as someone who played on a movie set. In fact, last month I went to New York City, where I was asked to be part of a new movie being filmed, because the script included someone who had the main character who had an experience encountering aliens, and he wanted to speak with Professor Avi Loeb, and so here I am playing myself, and the main character happened to be Brandon Routh, who played Superman in 2006. So that was a very unusual experience of being in a fictional story. But the real pleasure for me is to live through the reality itself, because whatever we find would be real. It's not just on the movie screen.
Okay, 2 quick questions before I let you go here. One, even that was an update, because when we talked to you, when you had just been on that set, everything was still hush-hush at that point, and you couldn't even tell us who the big-time actor was. So we got that breaking news from you this time. And then 2, what grade would you give the new Disclosure Day?
Sorry, what day?
What grade would you give Steven Spielberg's new movie?
Oh, well, in terms of the artistic accomplishment, I would give him an A. But he used a lot of artistic freedom, where things that I know from my 40 years of research, scientific research, imply that they cannot happen in reality. So, as often in science fiction stories, I have a difficulty enjoying them because I realize this cannot happen. We're allowed to discover new physics, but the point is that the old physics cannot be violated because we saw it confirmed so many times in so many experiments that it must be satisfied plus something extra. And usually in science fiction movies, the artists, the creators, have no issue with violating the laws of physics.
Well, yeah, because it's for entertainment purposes. But that's why we have you, Avi, to bring us back down to earth and tell us what it really is. Thank you so much for your time today. As always, can't wait to find out what you all are able to discover through this council.
The best is yet to come, and stay tuned. It will be exciting in the coming months, I hope.
Okay. All right. We'll be checking back with you for sure. Everyone, it's 2:01, so give us 2 minutes, and I'll let you know what is to come in this next hour of Chicago Live. All right, welcome back, everyone. There's a lot of moving parts to this 2 o'clock hour of our show here for Chicago Live today. So I'm going to tell you what's anticipated. Just know there's some movement that's happening here. So we hope that we're going to be able to get in our 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno, to give us updates on what they're working on downstairs for the later shows. Obviously, today is a big weather day. We want you to be weather aware, meaning you know what's going on, but also weather ready. As I was reading Mike Kaplan's note before I even came into work, that was his final statement there. We want people to be weather ready, meaning if things change, we get a warning out there. You just saw what happened last week. They are still tallying up how many tornadoes came through our area. In fact, I was reading an email just a few moments ago about Illinois possibly breaking preliminary tornado records tonight. Okay, we're already leading the nation, so it could possibly break a record tonight. So please be weather aware, know what's going on, have ways, even if you're going to be on the move, to get alerts. You can get them from us with our app, the Fox Local app, but also to turn on notifications, but then also be weather ready, meaning If there's a warning, move, okay? So if there is a warning during this hour, and more likely during the 3 o'clock hour, we will immediately put our meteorologists on. There will be no more Chicago Live. They will go full throttle and get everyone up to date on what is to know and what you need to do. We also anticipate Mayor Johnson speaking, coming out of council at some point in time in this hour. So if he steps to a mic, we will take you there live just as soon as that happens. But while we have a little bit of time, let's get in another conversation here. And this is about Summerfest. We have the CEO, Sarah Pancheri, who is joining me here. Summerfest returning this year, and I know it's going to be bigger and better than ever.
Tomorrow we start for our 3 weekends of festival fun in Milwaukee. We cannot be more excited. It really, our 58th edition of this very special musical event. And we love to see all of our friends from Chicagoland.
And you know what? It's a quick drive, and a lot of people make it. You already know. But so I'm looking at the list of some of the headliners: Post Malone, Ed Sheeran. I can just see people out there, doing this. Jelly Roll, and everybody's been talking about Jelly Roll. Maybe not so much for the music, but over the last few days, Garth Brooks. I mean, you guys have great folks who are going to be headlining.
We pride ourselves on putting together, and we're an independent festival, so we're a nonprofit organization that puts on this incredible event on permanent lakeside festival park here in downtown Milwaukee. And so really the name of our game is variety. So you mentioned some of the folks that'll be in the amphitheater, which also, if I could add, is Megan Maroney tomorrow night. We have Garth playing one of his second night tonight in Milwaukee, but we go to Megan Maroney, Don Tolliver, Corinne Leone, also Alex Warren, Muse, really this incredibly diverse lineup that we're proud to offer. But then on the grounds, we also are equally as diverse. With a festival ticket, you can see everything from the Subtronics to Chicago's very own Styx, to Third Eye Blind, and kind of everything in between. So we really pride ourselves on making the festival not only really diverse in terms of music, but also very, very accessible for fans. If you wait and come to the door, it's $33 to see 11 stages of music.
Whoa, just $33 for all of that talent. That is a bargain for sure. I mean, 3 weekends in a row. How let's walk through how you all even plan something like this. I mean, I would anticipate that the minute one ends, you start up planning for the next one. Is that right? Or is it even further back than that?
Yeah, we've already started working on 2027. And I've heard someone talk about 2029, and I said, what, we're not quite there yet. I need to, but truly, as most fans know, the music industry continues to evolve, and bands and artists are planning very far out. And given the variety, as well as just we have over 600 artists that play this festival, so we really need to stay ahead of it. But also, but at the same time, forced to continue to be nimble, because in some cases, some artists they ascend very, very quickly. So we leave some room on the lineup to be responsive to what's happening, in more current trends.
Yeah, gotta have a little wiggle room there to see who might pop up, in that time period. There are some artists, I mean, we've even seen here in the area, oh goodness, Chapel Roan, she came here and people were like, who, what, how do you pronounce that? And then she blew up.
I do remember the entertainment team. We've got an independent booking team here. I remember huddling around a computer watching the incredible Lollapalooza performance that she had a couple years ago. So we really, it's quite remarkable to think about how artists continue to thrive, but also, one of the things that we have, given we have so many stages, one of the phenomenon we see is that an artist might play a ground stage, which of course is free with festival admission, one year, and then quickly ascend to play our ticketed amphitheater the next year. That happened with Zach Bryan. That's happened with Alex Warren for this year. So last year he played a ground stage. This year he's playing the amphitheater. So it really is a great story, a musical story for Milwaukee.
We love to see the growth. Now, okay, if people are trying to plan on their end for coming up for any one of these weekends, I mean, what are some best practices, some things that you would say that they should do to really maximize their experience?
Well, first of all, I think that, obviously the website gives lots of information, but we have a fabulous app that helps you plan your time, gives you some great tips about, as an example, we have a clear bag policy, gives you all that kind of information. But the other thing I would encourage anyone who's traveling to Summerfest to do is to really, I believe we're playing the Cubs. The Brewers are playing the Cubs the second weekend.
Oh boy.
And my point being that there's tons to do in Milwaukee. And so really, think about planning not just a visit to Summerfest, but spend the weekend with us. It's a great town for hospitality. We have a great culture of beer and food and fun and music. So summerfest.com, milwaukee.org, and really plan a great visit.
In attracting hundreds of thousands of people, sounds like really you all are contributing also to an economic boom in the area. What is the economic tie-in for the city and the surrounding area?
Thanks for that. It's a kind question and really speaks to our mission as a nonprofit organization. For this festival park, which again, as I mentioned, is 75 acres of permanent festival space that offers events, not just Summerfest, but from May through October. In total, we generate over $300 million of economic impact for Wisconsin. But really, as part of our mission, another important aspect of that is that we hire 2,200 to 2,500 people, primarily from our community, who come and work the festival park. That doesn't include the 40 independent vendors that are here as serving food. It doesn't include all the people that come to sell as part of our marketplace. But really, our mission is to give back to our community, and we believe we do that in a very, very tangible and important way. In addition, as someone who worked here in high school, I was a high school seasonal employee, so I have deep roots here. In addition, just the whole idea that it's a tradition that generations of fans love to visit. We're very, very proud of that history.
You are such an excellent representative. Oh my goodness, to be able to say I worked there in high school and now I'm the CEO. You go, girl. I love it.
I don't think I knew what a CEO was, frankly, when I worked here in high school. But it really, I think it's a unique Milwaukee story and one that we're exceptionally proud of. And I don't know that I'm singular in the sense that I have a very special Summerfest story, and we truly invite everyone from Chicago to come up and experience it for yourself.
I'm certainly hoping that the weather bodes way better for Summerfest than it has been over the last couple of weeks. What is the contingency plan?
So, we're a rain or shine event. Okay. Obviously, safety is our most important priority, and we know that in particular today, you all are experiencing something really, really serious, and so we take weather very, very seriously. But in Milwaukee, I'm told for the next 3 days, we start tomorrow, it is supposed to be sunny skies. So wonderful. Again, even more reason to come up and enjoy the festival.
Wonderful. And just on a final note here, there are several things that speak to people my age and older. Fan activations are more so for a younger generation. But what are some of those fan activations that you're going to have?
And thank you. There's remarkable investment from our sponsors who make a significant investment in the festival, but also activations like our American Family Insurance House. You can have an intimate experience with an artist when in this house that American Family actually builds on site. It's just being finished up right now, and so that's a great experience. You can do individualized merch. Club Magenta is here. BMO Bank has an amazing soundstage. So really, our goal here at the festival is not only for you to enjoy all the music, but all the fun and all the ways in which we're able to entertain you beyond just the music. Pepsi drips, so you can make dirty soda, which is, if you talk to anyone younger than maybe you and I, is certainly younger than me, is something that is really, really fun. So it really is how we enhance the experience. Mm-hmm. We've got some visual art installations. How do we make it bigger than an already big music opportunity?
Yeah, I'm sold on the music, but I know younger generation wants to make sure they could put stuff on the gram. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And I know that these weekends are just going to be fabulous. Thank you for the planning that you all do to make such an experience for so many people.
You bet. We'll see you up here.
Okay, very soon. All right, everyone. And again, 3 weekends for Summerfest that you can be, $30? $30 for all of these artists. So this weekend, June 18th through the 20th, then June 25th to the 27th, and then July 2nd through the 4th. And as she said, there's so much more than just the music. And I'm okay with just the music, but there's so much more than just the music that you can build into an overall experience there. So fun times in Milwaukee coming up. You can look for more information at www.summerfest.com, and they'll give you the lineup. As she said, one really important thing, the policies. You don't want to get up there and you're not prepared for that. And then also more about other things that are going to be added in, and the times, of course, that you can see these different artists. But a great lineup that they have for this year, as they always have. I mean, last year they had Megan Thee Stallion, Lainey Wilson, Benson Boone. So they really do try to kind of have something for everybody on these 11 to 12 stages that they have. But this year they have another great lineup again of the well-known artists, and then the artists that maybe you want to check out, never knowing where they will end up one day. Let's take 2 minutes and then we'll get to our next conversation. Hopefully we're going to pull in our 5 p.m. producers sometime soon. Again, we are anticipating that the mayor will be speaking sometime within this hour as well. And just as soon as he does that, we will take you there live too. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Waiting on a few things to take place, and as we do, just want to talk a little bit about the excitement and the conversations that are building for tomorrow's grand opening ceremonies for the Obama Presidential Center. It is going to be quite the day. In fact, I'm not sure if we're going to have, this hour, may just be starting this hour, Chicago Live tomorrow, because the ceremonies, we're going to try to take those full as they're happening. Star-studded event that we are anticipating for tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m. and we'll have full coverage from beginning, previews first thing in the morning all the way through the end of it. And just listen to some of the names of the people who are going to be performing. Bruce Springsteen. I'm starting off on a high note right there. But there are plenty of others that you would say are right up there with them. Christina Aguilera. We were just having a conversation about Summerfest and how they do their lineup, offering something for everyone. As I go through this list, you'll see that they did that as well for this occasion, opening up this this museum campus, 20 acres that will be available for people from around the world for here and evermore, right? Right here in the city of Chicago, cementing a legacy that we've watched for years. So Common, of course, if you're doing something this big in the city of Chicago, you've got to bring in the big folks who have, claimed a name for themselves, who came from Chicago as well. And that includes Jennifer Hudson. And not only do we have Jennifer Hudson, who is an EGOT, but this is such a big event. We have two EGOTs. We have John Legend, who's going to be there as well, Eddie Vedder, Mark Anthony. There's going to be so much going on during this ceremony. Marcy Martin, The Roots. And the Roots just put on quite the show out in Philly, their home, here just a few weeks ago with the Roots Picnic. But now they're coming here to Chicago. I'm sure they will show out again. Stevie Wonder. Now, the thing about it is Stevie Wonder was just here in March, for the homegoing celebration for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. What is interesting about that, and I joke with people, even in the Jackson family, about the fact that, homegoings can be sad at times, but they wanted it to be a celebration. And adding Stevie Wonder, of all of the things that were going on and all of the ceremonies that they had, the minute Stevie Wonder got up there and started singing at Reverend Jesse Jackson's homegoing celebration, it really turned into a celebration. I think people really just went into whole concert mode, as you would with Stevie Wonder. He is such an icon, and so he's going to be a part of the celebration tomorrow. Tim's, U2's Bono, and The Edge. It's going to be quite the moment. These are names that you would associate with having such an occasion as President Obama's the Obama Presidential Center, which will forever be shortened to OPC, as it is opening. And so we're really looking forward to the ceremonies and, of course, the grand opening as it opens to the public that will be coming on Juneteenth, which ties in so much. As we were saying with Summerfest, there's so much planning that goes into events like this, and so much thought into even the dates that you're having them on. So in them opening up on Juneteenth, not only are you looking back at President Obama's time in office, but you're looking past that even to the shoulders that he stood on, still stands on, in order to aspire, to dream, to get to the office that he got to. And then you're taking it full circle in this moment of opening up what they hope will be a cultural, a creative hub for things for many years to come, that future generations will learn more about his time in office. And again, that goes well beyond just President Obama himself. There are exhibits in there that talk a lot about Mrs. Obama as well, Michelle Obama. There's one where you can go in and just see many of the different outfits that she wore during those years that they were in office, the 8 years that they were in office, and also to learn more about the thought process that went into the outfits that she wore on each one of those occasions where things would like sell out immediately the minute she would wear them. And even in outfit choices, we've already seen that this week. The Obamas have been here making different stops to say thank you to many people who helped them along the way this week. And, yesterday she paid tribute to her mother, Mrs. Marion Robinson. She wore a skirt with Mrs. Robinson's face on it, and it was an emotional moment for the Obamas as they talked about the fact that, what mother would not have loved to see this moment for her family, for her daughter, for her son. And of course, we lost her in 2024. So she carried her with her in her own way, in having her mother's face there on her skirt for the ceremony that happened yesterday. But again, that was a ceremony that they had for those who helped them in terms of custodial and shareholders, stakeholders, all of the people who helped them along the way that they had yesterday. I think the day before that, President Obama and Secretary of State Janulius and many others were out on that NBA-sized full court. They were out there christening the court, playing basketball out there, and you can only imagine the kids, the programs that will be able to use that facility again for many years to come. So there's much to talk about. We'll be doing that coming up tomorrow, and of course on Friday as well, as it opens to the greater public. But again, going back to this list of folks who are going to be headlining the celebration for tomorrow, you know it's going to be a good time, and you know the through lines here: hope, change. As long as the weather cooperates, we're actually going to be out on the plaza, the John Lewis Plaza, again putting these through lines of the future and the past together here. It'll be on the John Lewis Plaza. John Lewis, of course, another great congressman who would have you'd love to see the day that there is an Obama Presidential Center being opened here in Chicago. So they pay tribute to him there. There is a hope and change area of the facility as well. And then if you look up, and we're going to show you this tomorrow, but if you look up at the top of the museum campus, so it's 20 acres out and then 225 feet up. If you look at the top, and it was hard, when they were building along the way, I'm sure a lot of you, myself included, as you're building something, people are looking at it like, I don't really know about that. Like, I don't know about those choices. And then you see it when it's complete and you're thinking, oh, wow, this is what they were doing. So 225 feet up, there's actually the words from the speech that President Obama gave, the anniversary of Bloody Sunday, going back to John Lewis, the anniversary of Bloody Sunday there in Selma, Alabama. And I can tell you, I've walked the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I had chills walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, because you can feel the presence of those who walked before you. When you walk freely over that bridge, you think about those who were hurt and harmed trying to get across that bridge many years ago. And so again, many, many through lines from the past and the shoulders that we all stand on to the future, and young children and programs, the green spaces there that will be able to help people for many years to come. And again, sitting right here in the city of Chicago. Let's bring in our 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno. Sloan, what's going on for the evening shows?
Hello. So yeah, we are still keeping an eye on the weather. We don't know if it's going to be too bad or what's going to happen. We've been talking about it all week already. So Joni is going to be in Northwest Indiana and Maryville, where without tonight's storms and factor, they still are not going to have power until 10 p.m. tonight. And This is from, last Thursday that they haven't had power. And then we have Casey, who is covering. So last week there was that ransomware attack in Evanston. It closed a school for 2 days. So they had no summer activities. And so they didn't want money from it. They just kind of said it was a security risk. The reason why that just made a mess of everything. So they didn't have PA system wasn't working, their security system was down, and so they had to cancel classes. So she's talking to a security expert who she actually talked to last week when that happened. He's in town now for a security conference at the Drake Hotel. And so this is more focusing on how cybersecurity and AI intersect. So his big takeaway was basically saying that ransomware groups, right now, they haven't really targeted AI or, things like ChatGPT, but it's a possibility. And so people need to be careful about what they're telling, these AI bots. Some people put all their personal information in there, all this stuff. And so if they were to hack it or do something with that, your information is now at risk. And so she's going to go into more of the, ransomware attacks and AI aspect of it.
Very interesting. Okay, what else do you have?
And so Brett, he's at city council right now. So there's a lot of things they've talked about. Already, Alderman Hopkins just brought up a motion about ShotSpotter and, why is it taking so long for the city to pick a replacement? Said they were going to, it's been on and off. And so he's going to dive into that. And he's also going to go into the sweepstakes machine ban vote that is supposedly, I think, happening right now. So I think I can't remember if it was Monday. I think it was Monday that we talked about this. And so those are like the gambling video terminals that you see. They're at restaurants and bars. But so you put money in, you play games, but instead of cash, you get prizes or coupons or things like that. Oh, there you go. And so so small businesses have been fighting for it. They say it brings them money. They want the extra revenue, all that stuff. And then there's also the conversation. I am not sure if that's what they're talking about, the video gambling terminals today. I know that vote or the conversation they were supposed to talk about earlier this week got canceled. But that was kind of being pushed by the mayor's office, and they said, it's going to harm Bally's, the new casino and all these things. And so the sweepstakes is sort of different, kind of on the same page. So he's going to dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, some people say it's a legal loophole. The small businesses say, hey, we need the lifeline. But then Bally's has some valid points in this too. Like when we signed on the dotted line, we made it very clear what our market was, and this is cutting into our market. So we'll see where things go with it.
Yeah. And then we have one other story I just want to talk about. So Julius, starting on July 1st, they're changing the rules when it comes to driver's tests for older people. So for a long time, Illinois has been the only state in the country that required drivers to take a behind the wheel test because of their age. And so starting on the 1st, instead of when you turn 79, it's going to increase to 87. Sorry. So when you turn 87, that's when you're going to have to take the behind the wheel test. But other than that, he's changing it so that from 79 to 80, you have to renew every 4 years. You have to do a vision test, but there's no driving test required. Same for 81 to 86, renew every 2 years, in person, vision test, but no driver's test. Then when you hit 87, you have to go do your annual in-person renewal, and then you have to take the driver's test. And so this has been, back and forth. We're the only state in the country that had this. And then there is part of the law is that family members can voice a concern to the Secretary of State's office if they don't feel like their loved one should be driving, there's something wrong with their vision, whatever. They can say, hey, maybe they need to do a test, or they can take their driver's license away.
Yeah.
And so Julius has said that Illinois seniors are proving that they're among the safest drivers on the roads. And so said it's unnecessary, was outdated. And so, that goes into effect July 1st, which is interesting.
Those are super tough conversations to have with your loved ones about when it's time to take away the keys. And especially if they don't view it the same way that you do, that it's time. So, okay. 87 is...
it's pretty high.
Yeah, 79 for sure. I can see. Oh, all right. Maybe we need to increase the age. 87 is okay. All right.
Yeah. They still have to do the vision test though before. So if there is something, they're seeing in the vision test, they just aren't getting in the car and driving.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're leaving in the caveat that family members can lend a voice as well. Because sometimes you might be able to see just fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And still not need to be on the road. Yeah. Okay. Do you have some across America today?
No across America today. We're so focused on the weather
Yeah.
that we just didn't have room for it.
Totally understand. I'm watching people out here struggling. One thing I never advise is an umbrella in Chicago. I mean, it's just like it becomes.
Gonna blow.
You're going to fight and fight
It's the
hard.
best time to go to the Bean, though.
Well, you'll be able to get your solo picture for sure.
Yeah.
But you were going to be soaking. I mean, it is pouring, and I was wondering, and hopefully, again, we'll kind of see how far we can get with things. We're juggling things around just like you all, kind of waiting to see what comes of the weather, because that is top priority for all of us. I remember one thing that JD said to us yesterday was like, if you see the sun, a problem.
Yeah.
So
it's been raining all day.
Yeah,
so
thus far we've
we're hoping
continued to
it's
just
a
see
good
rain.
sign.
Might help
Yeah.
us out. We'll see. But thank you so much, Sloan. We appreciate you getting us caught up with a preview, and we'll be ready for the evening shows when they come around.
Thank you. Bye.
However much of them you're able to get in beyond the weather.
Yeah, true.
All right. It's 2:35, everyone. And we gave you a look as Alderman Lopez was in the front of council speaking. It looks like you can see Mayor Johnson up. And in the small box, that is Alderman Beal. Let's listen in for just a moment and see where they are in the discussions.
Seven wards in the city of Chicago. 47 wards have pending VGT applications. We know that we need this revenue from the VGTs. And we know that eventually, once the city gets up and operational, that we will bring in between $60 and $100 million on the low end. Out of those applications that were approved just last Thursday, there was a handful of applications that were approved by the Illinois Gaming Board. Once those applications got approved, they come to the city of Chicago to get a license. And as of today, they still cannot obtain a license here in the city of Chicago. So what does that mean? That we are constantly losing out on revenue. Again, we are losing out on revenue. Well, today I put before an ordinance to ban sweepstakes machines. There are 7,000 illegal sweepstakes machines in the city of Chicago operating that we know of. Again, that we know of. How much revenue are we getting from those machines? Zero tax revenue from those machines. Why? Because they are not recognized by the Illinois Gaming Board as being legal machines. Now, some people say there's a gray area. Well, I talked to a high-ranking state official yesterday, and he affirmed to me again that there is no gray area as it relates to the state of Illinois, who regulates these machines. According to the state is saying there are no legal sweepstakes machines. So there's no gray area that we're talking about. It's either you're legal or you're not. And I understand that, we have people in our ward that have these illegal machines, and they're saying that, well, we don't want to hurt those people. I get it. There is a legal path for people who have machines that want the legal machines. There is a path for them. What is that path? Fill out the application, try to get approved by the Illinois Gaming Board. That's your path. But there is no path for all the gas stations, beauty salons, barber shops, massage parlors, things like. There's no path for them because they don't have a liquor license or a food or beverage license today. So we can't protect people that are not going to, abide by the rules and regulations that we have put forward. There's some areas in this city that have 20 to 30 machines in a gas station. That's a mini casino operating illegally that we're not getting a dime from. Now, Bally's just put out a letter that they sent to all of us about VGTs. How come Bally's didn't say nothing about illegal sweepstakes? How come Bally ain't fighting illegal sweepstakes if we're undermining them with VGTs and they're threatening to sue the city, but they're not threatening to say, hey, let's shut down these illegal machines that's also hurting us? So we can't talk out of both sides of our face when we're saying what's legal and what's not. Now, here in this body, we are supposed to abide by the law. Well, we can't pick and choose. Well, I don't want to abide by the law because I know people who got illegal machines, so I'm going to turn a blind eye to it. What's the difference? Some people saying we're hurting black and brown businesses that need these machines. That it's going to hurt people that are trying to get employed. What's the difference between turning a blind eye than the drug boy on the corner that's selling weed and selling cocaine? They're employing youth too, aren't they? Are we going to turn a blind eye to them because I know them? I don't want to hurt small businesses? Come on, y'all. This is a slam dunk for us to move forward, to do what's right, to maximize the revenue from video gaming terminals that this body has approved that we're looking to get revenue from. So I don't want to labor the point because we've talked about this, and I'm personally tired of talking about this. But I will tell you, Pennsylvania the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania just ruled yesterday that there are no sweepstakes machines that are legal. They're considered gaming machines. So there is now case law in place that shows that these machines are illegal. Now, when the fight goes, people refer to case law. They refer to what other people have said and what other jurisdictions have done. And so I guarantee you that that's going to make its way to Chicago. And let me just also add, some people want to say, let's find a pathway for the sweepstakes machines to become legal. Well, I guarantee you, if this body tries to legalize and capitalize on illegal machines, the Illinois Gaming Board will sure enough file a lawsuit against the city of Chicago if we try to go down that route. So let's do the right thing. Let's stop this illegal underground market that's happening here in the city of Chicago, and let's pass this ban that's already in place because they're illegal. We just need to make the department to go out and do their job because they should already be doing this. And so let's do the right thing. Let's move forward. Let's ban these machines. And Mr. President, as always, I'll refer to Alderman Irvin, who always contradicts what I just said.
Before I recognize the great contradictor, Alderman Bill, do you have a motion that you wish to make first?
A motion do pass on the ordinance to ban sweepstakes machines.
Very well. And that item number is SO 2026-0024076. Are there any other alders that wish to speak to? The chair recognizes Alderman Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please remind the alderman of the 9th Ward that it's not my fault that I'm always right. But let's truly talk about what the gentleman just stated. The word illegal. If an item is illegal, then it is illegal, meaning that it does not comply with the law. But that's the question here. Because if it's illegal, what do we need to do? If the state has said it is illegal, it's illegal. What are we talking about then? The issue that is being raised is that you have machines that are legal, that have been designated so by the Illinois Appellate Court. I live in Illinois. I don't know where. I've been to Pennsylvania one time, but I live in the state of Illinois. And the law of the land in the state of Illinois is that amusement devices are legal. That's what we're talking about here. Now, if you have an illegal device, then I agree at 244 with Alderman of the 9th Ward that those devices should be dealt with if they do not comply with the law, which those that are connected to the internet that do not comply, the other factors that create things that do not comply, those items need to be dealt with. But there are devices that are legal under state law and under case law in the state of Illinois. Those devices need to be left alone because they are legitimate, they are legal under state statute and under case law here in the state of Illinois. Ultimately, this boils down to one thing. I do not believe that the VGT revenue, I'll never forget this statement that somebody gave me. It seems like in government, we're tripping over $100 bills to pick up nickels because that's what we get from a VGT machine, 5 cents on the dollar versus 22 cents on the dollar at Bally's or the casino here in the city of Chicago. That's a different argument, but again, let's put this all in perspective. The Illinois Gaming Board is correct. If a machine is illegal, it is within their jurisdiction. These machines are not, because they are not gaming devices. They are amusement devices. And I think the biggest thing that kind of comes back to me is that this body, not this session of the body, had an opportunity to create opportunities for black and brown folks in the cannabis space. And what did we do? We let the gates go wide open in cannabis. We are poised to make the same mistake again around this issue of video gaming, because I cannot find a single solitary Negro or Hispanic that is in this business. So we're about to give up hundreds of millions of dollars to people that do not look like over 50% of the population, bordering 60 and 70% of the population in the city of Chicago. Help me to understand what sense that makes. Now, here we are sitting up in here, majority minority city, but when it comes down to the dollars, we want to give all the money away. Help me to understand why we would take a position that is not going to enhance our communities or enhance the people that we represent, but just to give the money away to a very small, select group of people. Again, deja vu. I remember the same conversation we had when we tried to hold up on cannabis. Same thing happening again, giving millions or billions potentially down the road to a very small, select group of people. Tell me, where does that make sense? Who signs up to put their own communities in peril, not only in that point, but not even seeing the economic benefit from it? Again, I took this job to do one thing is to do no harm. And this piece of legislation does harm. And on top of that, since our folks are locked out of the VGT space, locked out the cannabis space, in a legal sense, they have a method to participate, and we want to take that away. Tell me, what sense does that make? Why did we sign up to come down here to take money out of the hands of black folks? That makes no sense. That we would sit back and take, literally, by the stroke of a pen, take money out of the communities, out of the businesses in our respective communities. Now, again, you got an illegal machine, yeah, we need to go after it and deal with it. And the state is basically saying those machines are illegal. They need to be dealt with. But those who are operating within the confines of the law, those who are asking to be taxed, not at 5 cents on the dollar, which is what we'll get from a VGT machine, but at a level higher than that, that we have an opportunity to set and regulate. Again, we're tripping over $100 bills to pick up nickels. I understand that we want to do what we believe is right and look at some money down the road, and help me to understand this one. The state said, yeah, once we get the money, we can renegotiate. Tell me, when in the world has the state of Illinois ever gave us $1 back after they got their hands on it? As Jeanette Taylor says, I'll wait. Come on, y'all. I think we have to be a little more cognizant and think through the decisions that we're making financially. This is ultimately going to be a bad deal for the taxpayers of this city. When we can generate more money in a way, and everybody is talking about we need revenue, while I understand that there is some revenue that will come from VGTs, there is a whole lot more revenue that we can get if we leverage over $300 million with the state of Illinois to not only help the city of Chicago, but to potentially help our whole operation throughout the state of Illinois, because they're getting the same thing at 5 cents on the dollar. There's an old saying, you put somebody in the desert and you leave them in the desert long enough and you give them a saltine and they'll tell you it's a Ritz. But damn it, I eat well and I don't eat saltines. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to close with this. Let's not continue to make the same mistakes economically. Let's not continue to lock people out that historically have been from disinvested communities. Let's not continue the same path. We did it with cannabis. We're looking to do it again with the gaming, and then again with these amusement devices. Not illegal machines, they're amusement devices.
All right, we've been listening in to a spirited conversation here. It's a big one for the day about what to do about video gaming terminals, these sweepstakes machines. You heard from Alderman Beal and also Alderman Irvin there, different sides of the coin, as Alderman Beal talked about the fact that there are 47 wards who have pending applications for VGTs. And so the city, he says, is losing out on revenue. He said that Bally's Gaming Casino has sent all of the aldermen a letter today about VGTs threatening to sue the city. Remember, we were talking about them earlier, saying that, you know, from the perspective of those who feel like they need to go, it's cutting into their business. Bally's feels like they are getting ready to have this huge opening, and anything that cuts into their business needs to go. And the fact that they made an agreement with the city that things like this wouldn't happen, they feel like this gives them grounds to sue, possibly. If you listen to Alderman Irvin, though, he says, yeah, there's a debate about, okay, what's legal, what's not here, if they are operating legally, because even something that is deemed legal could then be operated in a way that is not so. But he says if they're operating legally, these are his words, then we are tripping over $100 bills to pick up nickels, trying to get money from them. So the vote is happening right now. As of right now, the nays have it. They're far from finished. So we're continuing to watch where this is going here. But the nays keep adding up. We'll see if it passes or not. Again, we were thinking that, and really poised for, Mayor Brandon Johnson to speak after coming out of council today. Obviously, you can see him still there at the front of the room. So not sure what time this is going to happen. at all right now. Still calling names of those as they continue to take that vote. We'll let you know what happens with the vote, and more importantly, we have Brett Bugansky, who is going to have a full wrap-up, full contextual wrap-up of what we're seeing here before our own eyes. Those nays are getting pretty large. The difference between the yeas and nays is spreading there. So we'll get the full wrap-up from Brett Bugansky just as soon, again, as we have some more information there. They're in the midst of the vote right now, not sure what time. The mayor is going to speak outside of council. That could very well be sometime in the 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock hour at this point. But we'll continue to watch for that, as we're also watching President Trump, who's making his way around. You can see Emmanuel Macron there. They have been meeting French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, who are there waiting on President Trump to be escorted over to them. Looks like he's going over to meet President Trump as he gets out. Obviously, this is in the midst of the G7. There they are, right there. Two presidents, French President Emmanuel Macron and U.S. President Donald Trump. They have had a couple of different meetings this week. They are meeting today having a glitzy dinner at the Palace of Versailles here before President Trump comes back to Washington this evening here. So no sighting of the First Lady. I think she's back here in the U.S., but First Lady of France there, and the French President Emmanuel Macron, who are joining President Trump for a brief photo opportunity there, as there has been much to talk about there at the G7. Obviously, the big headline that President Trump has possibly secured a deal with Iran to end the conflict there. And so they have said that the signing ceremony is supposed to take place on Friday for it, but President Trump has said, that's the signing ceremony, that it has already been signed. There is a lot to the deal that no one or most people have seen at this point in time. I was listening to an interview with the Prime Minister for Canada, Mark Carney, last night. He seemed to have seen the details of this deal, and he said that it was actually better than what he would have imagined for it. So there's so much that rides on that deal, getting the Strait of Hormuz back open. Also, obviously, the actual safety of people, whether it is getting through the Strait of Hormuz, which is more of an economic engine, or again, the future aspirations, the making sure that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. So that includes enrichment, and so there's a lot riding on that deal that President Trump said was signed on Sunday, and that was a big boost for him going into the G7 summit, and it has been a big headline the entire time that he's been there, as all of the world leaders have been affected in some kind of way. This is a global, it has a global reaching economic ties to it. And so it was a huge headline going into the G7 that he secured this deal. And now we wait to see if it is actually signed on Friday in the signing ceremony. He said it's already been signed, but for the signing ceremony, and then the implementation. That's the biggest part of it, the implementation. What happens from here in terms of getting the strait open? There are about 1,500 ships that are sitting there waiting, hoping that they're going to be able to get through. And it doesn't just happen with the snap of a finger or the signing of a name on the dotted line, because there are also mines in the water. So how they get through, the timing of them getting through, again, 20% of the world's oil supply goes through that waterway. So it's a lot that's been sitting there. And you're already seeing the effects of it in terms of gas prices, just on the heels of the announcement being made. We saw a bit of a dip in gas prices, got a long way to go, but a bit of a dip indicating of what could come. So still a tense time in terms of actually making this happen, but could be the first huge step in a long time towards something that is prolonged. And so in terms of peace. So that's where we stand now. Again, President Trump having dinner with Emmanuel Macron, French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife this evening before he heads back here to Washington, D.C. And again, there should be a signing ceremony. I don't believe that President Trump is expected to be there for the signing ceremony, but there is supposed to be a signing ceremony on Friday for that peace deal, the memorandum of understanding with Iran. Let's take a 2-minute break. I have a sighting of one meteorologist, J.D. Rudd, and so we're going to bring him in after this. Okay, man with a plan is here with me right now, just about 3:02 right now. JD, as you were walking in, I said, haven't seen much of the sun, and you said?
That's a good thing, at least for us here in the downtown Chicago area. There is some sun breaking out in some other areas.
Really?
We got to keep our eyes on that. I have a lot to go through here. But the overall thing is we're in good shape for right now.
Okay.
This, as we talked about it last night of the year, if we kept the morning and midday rain and thunder around long enough, that would help reduce the threat of severe weather. That has happened. There is still going to be some very nasty storm activity in our state, but I think it'll be just south of our main coverage area. So it's bittersweet. While it's good for us, for those who do get hit by these storms, it is not going to be a pleasant day whatsoever.
Wow. Okay. Give us the breakdown of what you're seeing.
All right. So if we want, I got a slew of weather graphics to show you here, kind of starting off with what has changed and where things are. So if we jump into those, you'll kind of see the idea, because I got that, I've got radar, I got a whole bunch to show you here. So better chances for the worst of things have gone more to the south due to this midday rain lingering.
And when you say the south, I mean, give us a few of the cities, towns that you think are more target.
We still have our fringe areas like southern Kankakee County that are being clipped by this, southern LaSalle County, areas around Rensselaer. So it's our extreme southern fringe of our typical TV viewing area. But that's, to go off on a tangent for a second, that's the hard part of 2026 television broadcasting, because we're not just over the air anymore. People are watching us on streaming. So people who are outside of the quote-unquote TV DMA, as it's called, the designated market area, they could still get us, and they may want to know what's going on.
And
so it kind of bleeds, because they're sitting there going, well, help us. I mean, what's happening here? So I'm going to go through all that as we go through this. The strength of these storms will still be about the same. The same dynamics are there. Strong, long-track tornadoes are still possible. Also, what I'm seeing here is an earlier exit time for our southern areas. The worst of things, again, for our true TV coverage area may end by around 6 or so tonight, as opposed to 8 o'clock as it looked last night. So that's kind of the overview of what's changed. Also, what's changed, we had a watch in place earlier for a tornado. That has been scrubbed. A new tornado watch has been issued, but it does not include any of our traditional counties, but it does include counties just to our south. That'll go until 10 o'clock tonight. So again, a new watch in place for tornadoes for our south, mainly central and western portions of Illinois until 10 o'clock tonight for storms that are expected to blow up in that area. Now, here's the radar picture. This can tell a big-time story. So we've seen a lot of rain work its way through, some minor flooding in some cases too. Heavier rain right now between about Crown Point, Indiana and Joliet, but also just to the left of your screen as this loop comes back through. You can just see it there in the bottom left corner of the screen. There are a couple of cells around Peoria and Bloomington that have intensified. New severe thunderstorm warnings on those. We'll keep tabs on that because, again, outside of the traditional coverage area. You talked about not seeing the sun here, Anita. Here's the satellite picture coupled with the radar. And if you look farther west, you can see the sun breaking out around Davenport, western areas of Illinois into the, we'll call it west central section of Illinois. That's not good. Anywhere we get sun today, even just 15, 20 minutes will help destabilize things. But with that morning activity, it's pushing the threat for the nastiest of storms, basically in a line from Peoria through, I guess if you were to draw a point between about Muncie, Indiana, and Fort Wayne, kind of that area. So it's just south of our traditional coverage zone. That's where things may get a little bit rough. Let me kind of make that make sense. So here's the newest severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. That red blob yesterday was about a tier of counties farther north. It included all of Kankakee County, most of Livingston County, into LaSalle County. Now it's gone farther south. Not to be overlooked, the entirety of the viewing area is still at least in a level 2 risk of severe weather. Yesterday, Chicago, downtown city of Chicago, was in a level 3. That's been pushed south. So everything is nudging that direction. We're not completely out of the woods with things here, but the worst of the worst is going a bit more to our south. And to expand upon this even more, here is the threat for tornadoes today. And again, this has been shunted a bit farther south. Now keep in mind, Chicagoland, greater Chicagoland, still on a level 2 out of 5 risk for those tornadoes. So this could still be something of interest as we go more throughout the day today, and we'll keep close tabs on it. In addition to that, straight line wind damage could be a concern. So I have said a lot of stuff in a small amount of time. Here's kind of the overall takeaway. The worst of the storms, the tornadic supercells, may find themselves just south of our traditional viewing area. We still could have thunderstorms that come into play over the next 3 to 6 hours that produce some damaging wind gusts, maybe a brief spin up, maybe some hail. But I'm also getting more concerned about the rain threat too. We've seen a lot of rain already. We could see even more rain over the next handful of hours. So flooding becomes a concern in some cases. So keep that in mind. And I mean, with the way things are, with the clearing sky back in the western part of the state, maybe there is one rogue cell that gets going and is problematic for a couple of hours. So not out of the woods yet, but we are leaning toward the improving side versus where things were even 12 hours ago.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
And then for sure, we've been looking out and wondering. So we're glad that we were able to get you in here. Let me ask you, I mean, with this much rain and the wind gusts that you were talking about as well, I mean, it wasn't last Thursday really was the tornadic event.
Yes.
Wednesday was the straight line winds that took down a lot of trees.
Yes.
Are we worried about more trees coming down?
It could be possible. That's what I'm saying. With the wind gusts, whether it's rotational or straight line, we're going to have some issues from that. And now with all this rain, the ground is getting a little bit saturated and soaked, so it's hard for some of those trees to really take root. It makes the ground soft. You get a good gust of wind, and those trees could go over. So I know we've talked on the news side the past couple of days about areas still without power. Hoping we get that power restored today. I mean, as soon as the lights come back on, they might go back off if a storm comes through, depending upon what's happening.
Really hate to hear that for folks.
I know, it's not good, and it's all, I mean, I don't have the perfect phraseology for this, but it's luck of the draw, it's chance, because it's all about where the wind comes through at its strongest, What tree does it hit? What power line does it hit? The difference, too, this week and last week versus a few weeks ago, most of the trees now have fully bloomed. They're budded out. Those big old canopies are like sails. They're going to catch all that wind. And as I just mentioned, if the ground is soft, I mean, all these dynamics are in play. All it takes is one good gust of wind, topples over a large tree, down goes a power line or two, maybe a substation gets hit, power's out for a lot of people, and it's just a mess.
And then I think about, again, the timeline that you said has shifted a bit. Could help us. I mean, there's so much planning that's gone into tomorrow for the Obama Presidential Center opening. And obviously, I mean, inside, outside, I mean, they've got to plan a lot at the last minute with the weather shifting too.
They will be fine tomorrow, and there's no issues for severe storms tomorrow, but it's just the cleanup from today and tonight. How does that impact things? How does that detour things? What's going on in some areas? That could be the issue. But as far as anything going on with that event tomorrow, with Juneteenth on Friday and Saturday, any other weekend events, at least on Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, looking good. I don't have the 7-day called up. I have not done my numbers on that yet. I'm still working. That's on my part 2 to-do list. I've been tracking the
We
now
know your
stuff
list has
right
been
now.
long.
But from last I saw, we're still going to stay in the mid-70s. We should have decent amounts of sunshine Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Dad's Day?
Well, Dad's Day Sunday still looks wet. Still looks like rain on Sunday. So, listen, maybe Dad wants to sit inside, maybe fire up that George Foreman. You can grill that way. Just pamper Dad on the inside, you know? It's fine. Or maybe Dad wants to just get outside and be in the rain and left alone for a while. You never know. Dads
sounded
are different
personal.
creatures. Dads are different creatures. You never know.
Listen, I got this email today. I want to read it and then run it by you and see your thoughts on it. It said, Illinois is on the verge of setting a new record for preliminary tornado reports, with 2026 on track to become the most active tornado season in the state's recorded history. So far, 145 preliminary tornado reports have been logged, the most of any state in the nation this year. That total is just 2 reports shy of the current state record of 147 set in 2025. The record could be broken as early as tonight. If Illinois reaches 148 or more preliminary tornado reports, it will establish a new all-time state record for a single season.
So a couple of thoughts on that, because I've seen some of these stats before. The first thing is preliminary. That might be, in some cases, 3 people saw the same tornado and it gets reported 3 times. Some of those can get cleaned up. That's why they are preliminary, because the Weather Service has to confirm what happened. And then also, let's keep in mind the day and age that we're living in of the cell phones. You now have people in more rural areas who are able to capture and confirm a tornado than we had even just 10 years ago. And this is a hotbed. You and I have talked before about how the alley for tornadoes is shifting more east. This is an area, and I could do a 20-minute segment on this about the dynamics of cool, dry air meeting warm, moist air and rotation and this, that, and the other. Illinois is a sweet spot for that. We also have the advantage of this being a very long state, geographically speaking. So you have that working in our favor because things come in out of Missouri, things are up from Arkansas and from the south. That spills over into our state, that catches us. So the numbers can somewhat be misleading in some cases, but at the end of the day, I have a feeling that yes, we're going to be taking the top spot on some lists that we don't want to be a part of.
Don't want to be a part of the alley or these numbers. This isn't the record you want to break at all. But if you're giving a percentage, like what percentage do you feel that there could be a tornado in the state tonight?
Oh, there will be. Without a doubt, there will be. That's why I'm saying our traditional coverage area should be okay, but as I told our folks in our 2 o'clock meeting, the central part of the state's still looking to get beat up. I mean, it's going to happen. The dynamics are there, they're in place. So we're going to see some incredible video. There's going to be damage. There's going to be some destruction because the atmosphere is still primed for this stuff. It may not be over us here, but a couple hundred miles farther south. Those same dynamics are there, and it's coming together as we speak.
Wow. And, it was pouring at the beginning of our show at 1 o'clock. I'm seeing people walk out now. Just seeing people walk. For a while, it had gotten pretty naked on the streets. So I'm seeing people back outside kind of walking around, but with like ponchos on. So are we anticipating this to die down right now,
Yeah,
and then the next round of heavy stuff?
I'm looking
to
at the
roll in?
radar. This is going to slowly taper off. There is a pretty heavy band of rain basically from Joliet through about Hammond right now. Oh, I said the H word. I can't say that. Through south of that place where the Bears might be visiting. And so that's
We
where
know,
it's heavy right
speak of
now.
that.
I know. I never heard. What happened? We'll just erase that in post, right? I don't see right now anything heavy coming our direction, but there's still a potential later on this evening. I didn't touch on this earlier, so thanks for reminding me. So we have this initial line of heavy, nasty stuff that should be clear of the area by about 6, 7 o'clock tonight. There is now a small concern that between about 7 and 10 p.m., there might be a couple of storms that roll into northern Illinois out of southern Wisconsin. They could have some strong wind gusts, maybe some rotation. They won't be as robust, nearly as robust as the other stuff, but that's still something to keep in mind as we go into the evening time frame. So even though the all clear may be happening in the next couple of hours for most of us, we may not be done with storms by the very end of the day, literally today.
And there's a lot to, you
Lot to
know,
uncover, a lot to unpack,
yeah.
a lot to worry about, to keep eyes on. It's a busy weather day, but the good thing I think for us is in the grand scheme of things, we don't get a lot of these. It's not day after day. This is
That's
not
true.
Oklahoma, Kansas. This is not Arkansas, Mississippi, where this happens Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, break on Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Yeah.
and you're doing it day after day for weeks.
Yeah. But when we get it,
We're on top of it.
yeah,
And
we appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
3:15, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. Okay, welcome back. 3:17 right now. Let's hop into our next discussion here with the mayor of Montgomery about a water link project. This marks one of the largest water infrastructure projects in Illinois over the last 30 years. Thank you so much for being here, Mayor Brawley.
Awesome. Thanks for having me today.
And is it Brawley or Broly?
Brawley.
Oh,
you
is
got
Brawley. Okay, all right. I was looking at it. I'm like, looks like trolley with the BR. Okay, all right.
That's it.
Okay. So thank you for your time here. Tell us about this infrastructure project and the difference that it is expected to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today. This is our securing drinking water for our residents going forward. So right now in Montgomery, your water comes from a deep, deep aquifer, 1,000 feet deep, that the state anticipates is desaturating. The water levels are going down over time. And so we partnered with our neighbors, the village of Oswego, the city of Yorkville, to kind of join forces and get Lake Michigan drinking water from the DuPage Water Commission. So I used a lot of governmental agencies there. So it certainly was a process. It took roughly 10 years. But at the end of it, the residents here, my kids, their kids will have drinking water for the future.
Wow. What were you all experiencing before?
So no real desaturation of our wells currently. You know, every time we take them out, we may have to lower them a little bit more. But the state estimates by 2050 they'll be experiencing some problems, and so we wanted to get ahead of it.
What were they anticipating?
That you can either, if you go too deep, you can draw some salty water. If you're that deep, thousands of feet deep.
Wow.
But otherwise, you just have to continually lower your well to the to get access to water. So provide some problems in the future.
Yeah, I mean this is really amazing stuff here. Quite the price tag on it, nearing $400 million. How did that all work out for these three communities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the benefit of joining forces really opened up the door for us, for all of us, to get access to federal loans. Congresswoman Underwood has secured for us some federal grants for a small fraction of things, but it allowed us to kind of keep the ball rolling. But it's a significant investment and loans that all the communities will have, and it's reflected in our rate that I'm sure you or somebody else is asking about right now. Is the future of our water rate to buy water is going to be escalating over the next 10 years.
And what would that look like? I mean, I'm sure as you all were getting ready for this, you were doing the numbers, making the math somehow. What will that look like?
So right now, I would say if your monthly bill is around $50, you can expect that to go up to probably $200 when we set the final rate. So it is a drastic increase that we're stepping in over a period of 10 years. So you don't really feel that all at once. But the way that I look at this, and I explain this to my wife and my family who lives in town and the residents, is that right now you are getting your drinking water at a fraction of the price of what everyone else is paying for Lake Michigan drinking water. So it's a big investment. It's high quality, sustainable drinking water. So it's a message that we're certainly trying to get out in the community.
Yeah, I mean, at a time when a lot of people are watching their budgets very closely, what was the pushback on this?
I don't get a whole lot of resident pushback when you take a rational approach at looking at something like this and you explain your options. Like, we didn't just wake up one day and decide that, we're going to do this. We called DuPage Water Commission. We actually had to pass a bill in Illinois to allow us to join Lake Michigan drinking water through DuPage County. But we investigated here locally in Montgomery 6 different options for drinking water. It includes the Fox River behind me. And when you factor everything in over the cost of time, this was our best option, and it is only going to get more expensive as time goes on. So I've told my board this for 10 years. When I was first elected, was one of the first conversations we had was with my village engineer, Pete Wallers, who said, we have this problem, we need to do something. And ever since then, every conversation is, this is the most important decision that any of us will ever make in elected office. Wow. And so we've had several mayors from the other communities, over the years come and go, but the support has always been there for this. I mean, it's essential for life. So we're making a good decision. We put a lot of thought into it. It was very rational.
And when you were looking at other bodies of water, you mentioned the Fox River there. I mean, what were the things that said those weren't right?
So if you go to the Fox River, that would have been a loan. So we wouldn't have been able to join forces with our neighbors, just because it worked out best for us for that. What really gets you is the operation and maintenance of it over the long haul. So when you have a surface drinking water plant, you need to staff that 24 hours a day. When you add that up over time, that's really what flips the needle the other way. So yeah, it was close for us, but at the end of the day, the Lake Michigan supply, coupled with the fact that, there are drought conditions on the Fox River occasionally. They call that the 7-year, 10-day drought condition where we would not be able to draw water from the Fox River, which kind of adds another kink to the plan. But we looked at Fox River. We looked at joining forces with Joliet's system. So Joliet probably has a bigger project. I know it's a bigger project going on right now with a bunch of communities to get their own Lake Michigan water intake. We looked at a couple other sources there, but ultimately this was the best option for our residents.
And as I'm reading, a lot of this has to do with a lot of these communities growing rapidly. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Montgomery proper, so we're right on the Kane-Kendall border, just south of Aurora. We'd more than doubled in size from 2000 to 2020. Oswego and Yorkville, they're entirely in Kendall County. They've continued to grow to this date. They were the fastest growing county in the United States, I believe, from 2000 to 2010. And then they continue to build homes and folks moving into those towns. So the growth in this region has just continued even through the 2008 downturn. It starts with, I'd like to think that, the local mayors have a lot to do with it, but it really starts with good schools, clean, affordable drinking water, public roads, all that.
Since you said this is going to be one of your hallmark type of moments for your career and for your time as mayor, what has been the reaction to this? I mean, what are people saying now that you're on this side of it?
Well, so we don't take the Lake Michigan water for a few more years. The pipeline is currently being constructed from the DuPage Water Commission out in Naperville, and then all the way through. There's something like 40 miles of pipeline that needs to be built. I think Oswego will connect first. To be honest, I think people understand the decision. Nobody likes to pay more for any services that they get, even the ones that they need and want, for their daily lives. But if we're transparent, if we're responsible, and we communicate with our residents, I think everything will be just fine.
And let me ask you this. I mean, this is a huge project for you all's communities. Is there something else that you all are working on right now that you would say is your next highest priority?
Wow, that's awesome. Was not thinking that. I mean, all boards locally are always focusing on bringing jobs, attracting jobs to the community. We had a Caterpillar plant in town. It was the Aurora plant, they called it. We've annexed that into town, but Caterpillar left years ago. So trying to encourage, right now, it's a great place to live. We got plenty of areas of park, recreation. We got good schools. It's making sure that there's still jobs in this area so folks can earn a decent wage and live in the community that they work in. So I would say that's our number 2.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Great to chat with you, and especially as you gear up for what will be a hallmark moment for you all's communities and joining together in doing this together at that.
Awesome. Thanks, Anita. Thanks for having me today.
All right. Take care. Again, that's Mayor Matt Brawley, the mayor of Montgomery, that we were speaking to there about this huge infrastructure project that Montgomery has joined in with Oswego and Yorkville to bring about in the years to come, to bring Lake Michigan water to their communities. They said that this is about public health, economic growth, and environmental resilience in the end. So there's a hefty price tag. You heard him talk about that for it overall, and also just even in the bills that will increase over time to sustain it. But he says that, again, when you factor in the things that are coming, the issues to public health that are going to be prevented, the economic growth that could come from it, and the environmental resilience at the end of the day, that it is worthwhile. Very interesting also to think about the other places that he named that they looked into that they decided against and decided on Lake Michigan in the end. So again, let's get a 2-minute break in before we get to our next conversation about the state of the conflict, or really at this point, the state of the peace deal with Iran. welcome back, everyone. 3:30 right now, and we're going to talk about the state of the memorandum of understanding with Iran. It is, if you think about the conflict of last week and where we were even going into last week, where you thought like, thought a deal was going to be made, then all of a sudden there was an escalation, and then you were really worried. Then we got to Friday, and President Trump said, as he had said many times before, that no, he thought that a deal would be struck this past weekend. By Sunday, he said that deal had been struck, and that there had been a memorandum of understanding that was signed, even though they're going to do a signing ceremony on Friday. Now you wonder, okay, how does that line up? Most of us have not seen the text of it, but what will it say in the text that allowed all parties to come together, and what will it look like in the future? What happens to the implementation? I have Pegah Benahashemi, who is joining me from Chicago Law School. She is Iranian, and we appreciate her perspective on these things. Thank you so much for being back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me again. Nice to see you again.
I want to circle back to our last conversation because when we spoke, the real crux of the beginning of this conflict, at that moment, it was more so about the humanitarian aspect of going in and essentially freeing a country. That President Trump said he wanted the people of Iran to take this moment and regain control of their country. Do you feel like we've lost sight of that in the midst of the last few months in this conflict?
I suppose you started from very hot subjects. This conversation would be very interesting. Yes, I think so. Yes, I think however this agreement, this deal that is going to be happen or is happen, or no one knows exactly what's going on now. However, is stop the conflict, but there are a lot of questions there. What's going on with human rights matters? What's going on with lots of execution that is happening inside the Iran? That's this is a very good point to start. Actually, yes, I think we lost the purpose of the why this conflict even happened at the beginning. I suppose conflicts happen because regime of Iran never wanted to have a peaceful relationship with Western country, included United States, and inside the Iran also people are not happy about regime decision and about whatever is going on with economic matters and the sanction inside the Iran. So yeah, I think it's kind of from the point that we talked before that it was Tehran was under the bombing, Iran was under the bombing. Now there is no bombing anymore, but still lots of conflicts stay.
Yeah, still lots of questions about this. What's in the deal and the implementation. Do you see this actually going through?
We have a relief feeling that at least the war might be a stop. And honestly with you, every time when I hear something that is happening, something inside the Iran, southern Iran, or inside the Tehran, is some bombing happen, it's kind of very concerning for someone like me who has a lot of family and friends inside the Iran and in Tehran. I have my dad that still is living in Tehran. So you can guess how much I can be concerned about the situation. But also this deal, however, give us some relief and bring some kind of feeling that, okay, maybe the war can be stopped, and but still is a lot of other concern stay that what's gonna be happen in the details of that deal. Is that like something can, for example, the people can be inside of that deal, and the ordinary people the people who are suffering with the regime, the people who just arrested in January with protesting, and after the lots of people just killed by the regime, and the family is still suffering by that pain. So what kind of details is going to be happen inside of that deal? However, some people do believe that maybe that's a good deal for the future. Maybe for the future, is that a good first step between the United States and Iran after 48 years of the conflicts? Maybe finally they can get along with each other, and they can basically stop to have a conflict and have much more business with each other. Maybe they can have some kind of like indirect business with each other, or at least have less conflict with each other. But for me, there is a lot of question.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about the business aspect of it, let's break that down a bit. One, the Strait of Hormuz, how simple or complicated is it? I mean, if it's a part of the deal and the deal is signed, how soon do you think we're really going to see some movement there in the Strait of Hormuz with like 1,500 ships who have been sitting there?
I mean, I think one of the very main purpose of this deal for United States and for President Trump is exactly like make a Strait of Hormuz free of going and coming. So for that purpose, I think if it wouldn't going to be happen, that wouldn't be very weird for me, because I think that's exactly the main purpose. But how the Iranian regime can get other things from the United States. For example, everybody heard that lots of money that belongs to Iran is going to be released. Mm-hmm. That's billions or millions of dollars that going to be released. How the regime of Iran wants to spend that money is like, again, they are going to arm Hamas or some other proxy to do something against of the Israel or against of the United States, or they really wanted to bring this money and spend some of them for their people inside the country that they are really suffering by the economic matters. Let me tell you something. As someone who has an immediate family in Iran, I can tell you just after these wars happened, lots of necessary groceries just went up the price wise, and the price they got really much more inflation inside the Iran. Medication, access to healthcare is got much more complicated. So for that matters, is that something that the deal, if the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open and is going to relieve the oil fields and the business for everyone around the world. But what's gonna be happen on the other hand? Because for sure, regime of Iran expected to receive something. That receiving something is that makes much more conflict in the future, is going to make another problem in the future very soon, or is kind of like a deal that United States can get a guarantee from the regime of Iran that they are not going to spend this money to protect their proxy.
Would you trust any guarantee from Iran?
No, I'm not, because I don't, because I think the regime of Iran, unless they really wanted to change their ideology and they really wanted to go in other approach, which is I don't see it yet. Maybe it's too early to judge, but I think just the one very old supreme leader died and then replaced by his son, very younger, very much more restricted. And I know inside of the Iran lots of the army people, IRGC people that take control of everything inside the Iran. Are they really wanted to go to have a different approach? I hope so. I hope one day we can stop this conflict, because it's really suffering our Iranian people inside the country. And also, there is no benefit for that. I mean, this is something that many people like me do believe, that if this time they can change the approach, they can go with a smoother pathway, they might be better for everyone. If you look at the region, for example, the Pakistan, the Iraq, the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar even, they could get along with Western country and they can basically have a deal. It depends. I mean, not every of them has the same situation, but why not Iran? Why always Iranian people should be the first people in a Middle East that they suffered with kind of like this ideology matters. However, as an Iranian, I would like to say many Iranian really would think, or they are thinking, this conflict is not their conflict, is not their war to want it to be this happen, and they like Western country like United States very much, and they would like to one day we can have a free business together again. Before Revolution 1979, it was lots of communication between United States and Iran where was happening. We had lots of universities that they were working together very much. We had kind of like a contract that exchanged a student between each other. We had lots of contract that asking a company to come inside the Iran and do work inside the Iran. So they all abolished after the revolution. Why not? It could be a very good chance and good opportunity for all businessmen from United States, from the Iran, that they can have good deal with each other and have kind of like a easy and normal relationship with each other.
Do you really think we could get back there? Or do you think too much has happened in that time?
I think if they really wanted, yes, it could be happen. I mean, potentially, theoretic-wise, yes, they can do these things because bring lots of benefit for both sides. But also, let me tell you, inside the Iran, we have kind of like a very religion people. Unfortunately, they also have a leader that he was kind of a candidate, tried to be a president, but thank God he couldn't. So inside the Iran, also some of the people, maybe millions of them, also they don't have a positive feeling about a relationship with United States, and they are really trying to sabotage every single deal that is going to be happen. Unfortunately, and they are, because they have kind of like a benefit of the sanction. They have kind of benefit of when the war is happen, they see some benefit up for themselves. So I think if the new leader inside the Iran, like the people like Ghalibaf, who is the head of the parliament inside the Iran, if he can take a leadership for this time, and inside the U.S., some people like J.D. Vance just take a leadership for these matters and bring some better deal for the two nations.
Well, you said J.D. Vance, and he is expected to be a part of the signing ceremony. President Trump is not expected to be there for this moment, but I mean, let's all hope. Let's all hope that peace is on the way. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, take care. It's 3:43, everyone. Give us 2 minutes before we get into our final conversation here for the day. You know, we have so many different through lines of discussions when it comes to the grand opening of the Obama Presidential Center. The ceremonies will be tomorrow, Friday. It opens to the public. And then what will it look like in the future? What will it offer to future generations? We'll talk about it on the opposite side of this break. history books for the Obama's legacy. The Presidential Center will be opening up to the public on Friday, ceremonies tomorrow, and of all of the things, the many different things, we've talked a lot about the green spaces, the museum, the library, the food, all of those things. But it's really interesting now to catch up with the one who will be the official beekeeper for the Obama Presidential Center here in Chicago. Janelle Dunlap is joining me now. Thank you so much for being here on the show. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can bring her in. Janelle, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, wonderful. Glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your background and how it's led to being the official beekeeper.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. I am a beekeeper with Westside Bee Boys that is founded by Thad Smith. So I just want to give my mentor a shout out and make sure that he's mentioned. I've been beekeeping since 2017, and I started with community-based beekeeping. So I started volunteering on the campus of an HBCU in Charlotte, North Carolina. And from there, I've really developed a lot of relationships, friendships with farmers, community gardeners all across the country, everywhere between the Carolinas to Denver. So I came back to Chicago within the past year, and I applied with my mentor for their vendors, or for their beekeeping vendor application, and we got it we got news that we got it last summer, so we've been holding on to this for about a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I mean, it's a huge opportunity for you. I love that, that there's a greater aspect of this to the Westside Bee Boys. I mean, these aren't things that you typically think of in a congested city that's buzzing, well, buzzing all day. But tell us about the importance of this work.
Well, luckily, Chicago is full of green space. So there's not, this isn't just the concrete slab of the city. It's full of greenery and it's beautiful. But the work that we're doing is, we also want to highlight that, yes, we are raising honeybees on campus, but we also like to educate the public on the importance of native bees. So native bees are things like carpenter bees, mason bees, squash bees. And a lot of times these bees don't sting, but they carry the negative connotation of violence or danger, because a lot of people, of course, they don't want to get exposed to pain. But honestly, if you don't bother bees, they typically don't bother you. If they are bothering you, it's because they think you're food.
Oh.
So you might smell sweet, or you might be snacking on something that they want to taste. So and harping on the importance of this moment specifically, so recently Chicago, or actually the state of Illinois, entered the tornado alley zone. So this is a very significant period in environmental history for the state and for the city. We're also beekeeping essentially on lakeshore property. So this is a new avenue for myself and my mentor. We're entering into a new era of environmental history, and we are so honored that the Obamas gave us the opportunity to do that.
Wow. And I'm seeing here that you have used beeswax to make paint.
Yes. Yeah, I am an encaustic painter. So encaustic paint has been around a very, very long time. The ancients have used it, the Greeks, all the ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, the North Africans. So it's the process of melting down beeswax, merging it with resin that usually gives it shine, and adding pigment to it. So you paint while the wax is hot, and you apply it on your canvas, and you fuse it with a heat gun or a torch.
I am mind blown here. I mean, in the best possible way. I think this is awesome stuff. So they're at the Obama Presidential Center. I mean, talk about what you all will be doing with either community groups or adults, children. I mean, what are the things that you all are going to offer to the community?
Well, we are currently speaking with other vendors on site, collaborating across the board several ways. from everyone from someone who provides beverages and services to gardeners that are the folks that manage the garden. So first, we're working in-house. We're developing relationships with other vendors on the campus. Next year, we'll be bringing in interns that will be helping us manage the hives. And we'll also be moving into some of our additional programming, which will include some of my art practice.
Wow. Just talk about the emotions that you're having right now. I mean, you've been sitting on this for a while, so it's not new, but at the same time, this is the week when everything kind of gets into motion. So what's going through your mind?
I'm still really interested in the observation of the land. We had to move the bees off of campus for precautionary reasons. You know, we don't know how people are going to, excuse me, engage the space. So it was really important for us to observe, you know, even though we've been there since April, it was really important for us to take the opportunity to observe how people engage the land. Mm-hmm. So we had the great opportunity to work with University of Chicago's hospitals, the faculty's department, to relocate the bees for the opening weekend so that we can take this time to observe. Mm-hmm. So we're really the butterflies, they're still there, but because we're so focused on the work and making sure that these bees are healthy and that they thrive through the winter, we're really very much in like scientific mode. So it's we're using a different part of our brain right now, but trust me, probably a week or two after this, we're gonna like wake up and be like, oh my gosh, we are beekeeping at the Obama Center. Like it's gonna come. But right now we're too focused.
Wow. And maybe on a final note, what has the Obama legacy meant to you?
Man, I thank you so much that's a very intriguing question, and I haven't had the time to like really reflect on that. But it's definitely full circle. In college, I was the president of the College Democrats, so it's definitely a full circle moment. So the year that I was president is the year that President Obama was elected. So it was huge. It was a huge experience, of course, for all of us across the nation. But it definitely feels full circle. It's just interesting that my life is kind of taking this random path towards beekeeping, and. And then it lands me back here somewhere that I was, you know, when I was in my college years.
Mm-hmm. And where did you go to school? I'm a Hamptonian, so I've got to ask. You said HBCU, so tell me where you went.
I did not go to an HBCU. I am full support of HBCUs. My great aunt graduated from Hampton University, so I went to Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South.
Wonderful. Okay. I don't know how I heard HBCU in there. And I was like, I wrote it down. Like, I got to circle back to that. Wonderful having you here on the show. We certainly appreciate it. I think this is going to be an awesome opportunity for us all to learn more. What do you think? You mentioned a couple of things that we probably have as misnomers about bees. But what is maybe the biggest thing that you've learned that you want to make sure other people glean from the research that you've done about bees in the future?
Well, bees are, of course, very important to humanity in general. 1 in every 3 bites that you eat come from a tree or a plant that was pollinated from bees. So think about the future of humanity. It's really the stake of it is going to be in the hands of conservation. So making sure that we are conserving plants, native plants, that we are planting and keeping our green spaces, and reducing the use of pesticides.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congratulations on having this opportunity, and I can't wait to see where it takes you and the West Side Bee Boys as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. Take care. All right, everyone, 3:55. We actually made it through the 3 o'clock hour. We did not think that we were going to have a 3 o'clock hour today because things were going downhill very quickly with our weather outside, and we actually got through the 3 o'clock hour. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for what it is setting us up for, that I'm seeing more light outside and that people are out and about walking again in our area. You heard from JD. We're not done with it, but give us 2 minutes. We'll close out the show, and then you'll be able to see JD and our other meteorologists coming up in the 4 o'clock news. Welcome back, everyone, and thanks so much. If you've been rolling with us since 1 o'clock, we've had a lot of great conversations today, a lot of big things that are happening in our area over the next several days. Obviously, our big focus as we get into our evening shows will be the weather. We want you not just to be weather aware today and make sure you have notifications, a way to get notifications, even if you're going to be on the go, but we want you to be weather ready. Should things pop up, if a warning pops up, that you know what to do in that moment and that you act upon it. Again, thank you so much for being here. We'll be right back here. Well, I probably won't be with you tomorrow. I will be out at the Obama Presidential Center grand opening ceremonies. I'll be leading our coverage from out there. But we will have someone here for you, and we'll see you back here on Friday.